The Athletics coming to Sacramento for 3 years with an option for 4, and who knows after that. Now, throughout this whole thing, one of the guys I've watched from afar, I've been a fan of his and his work for a while, partly because he knows what he's talking about. He's been through this. How about this life? All right, so I'm just amongst other things. President of the Marlins, wrote a play, was on Survivor. What I believe was Lorne Michaels in another play.
That's intriguing.
Right? Like, and now you see him on Dan Le Batard. I believe he's down in L.A. right now, hosting Rich Eisen's show today. I probably got most of that right. David Samson joins us. David, it's Dave, it's Jason. Good morning, and thank you. I know you're busy for joining us this morning. Oh, do we not have audio on? Let's see.
At my main show is Nothing Personal at 8 a.m. Eastern. So you got everything right. And I'm so happy when you reached out, because what you guys are going through, you're getting a major league team, but you want to know, do I feel good about it? Do I feel guilty about it? How should I feel? And I'd love to get you on the therapist couch and tell you that it's okay to feel good about having Major League Baseball in Sacramento.
Well, I think, and I know you know this, but just to frame the conversation, there's two things I'll just speak for me. I'm struggling hard with the Oakland situation, and if we're deleveraging Oakland in any way and helping break those fans' hearts and assisting John Fisher, which is worse. But secondly, and as you know this, David, we went through a relocation issue with the Sacramento Kings about 10, 12 years ago, and I feel a little bit hypocritical. I'm just being honest. I'm on your couch, so help me out there.
Everything you feel is exactly normal, and the problem is that as a fan, we bring you with us on the roller coaster. And I really hated doing that when I was getting a ballpark done in Miami, when I was threatening relocation, when I was using Vegas as a possible leverage point to move the team. But the reason I had to bring the fans on the roller coaster is it was the only way to get the politicians to understand the game that I was playing, which is I want money to get this ballpark done because everyone else got money who I'm competing with. So fans, unfortunately, are brought on this ride, and you represent the fans. So let's talk about your guilt first very quickly. I totally get that. However, the benefit that you're doing is you have put yourself in a position to be in a city that was willing to take a team that, in theory, there's about 15 or 18 major league teams that draw from areas. Sacramento, Oakland, pretty normal. You go to a Cardinals game, a Cubs game, a White Sox game, other than Florida, where you'd have to come from the water, there's people who drive to games all the time. So keeping them close by is good. Secondly, leverage. You're not hurting the chances of the team staying in Oakland long term. You're not guaranteeing the team stays in Sacramento long term. But most importantly, you're not opening the door for them to move to Vegas. This Sacramento deal has nothing to do with the Vegas deal. You are simply taking advantage of the opportunity that you have now.
Okay. All right.
Did
Jason?
that help a little bit or no? A little bit. I know we're all, and the thing is, we're processing all of this. There's a lot of emotions, David, from people that are genuinely excited to people that are completely frustrated. And I think that on the side of those that are frustrated are probably looking at it the way of the departure of the A's, the way the last couple of years have been of the A's, the way they are currently being operated, thinking that it's also going to be operated the same way here. I think a lot of people are frustrated with A's ownership. So how do we compartmentalize maybe being excited of seeing baseball here in the capital city, but also this version of the A's?
Here's what made me crazy yesterday, and I talked about it a little bit on Nothing Personal, but I'll go into more detail with you guys. When you do a press conference announcing this, you're talking about being in Sacramento for 3 years, maybe 4 years. What about the team? Why was there no mention of, listen, we're in the middle of a rebuild, but we expect to have a window over these 3 years where we hope to have a competitive team in the American League West? Or say, listen, we're at the beginning of our rebuild, but we are hoping that we have young players who you will love to watch because you're a community that's used to watching great young players in minor league baseball. Talk to me about the team other than saying that this is a audition for permanent team, which is what Vivek said, the owner of the Kings, in his press conference, or John Fisher just saying, hey, we're just so happy to be here. Sorry, Oakland. I wanted a little more meat on the bone, and they just didn't do it.
Now, I don't know how, I mean, I know obviously you're very familiar with John Fisher as an owner. I wonder if part of that, and that's another part of my reticence here, David, is, what he and Dave Cavill have how they have kind of treated these fans over the last few years. And the fact that this is, and I'm not joking here, I mean, this is arguably a major league team. It's more like a quad A team. They're losing money in the Comcast deal. Fisher, whether it's baseball or his MLS San Jose Earthquakes, doesn't seem to show that he's willing to spend any money. So why, as a fan, am I thinking, I said yesterday, I think this will be a 100-win team over 3 years. Why should I feel any differently about that?
I've never heard that one before. That's outstanding. 100-win team over 3 years. That's not very good. That's historically bad. That I'm going to use that. I may use that one.
You absolutely can.
So let me ask you this. When you're taking, I don't know if you have children or I don't know if you take your employees out. When you're taking your child to a game, you're making a memory. You're having an opportunity to see Major League Baseball. I don't think that it matters who the owner is and who the president is. And it's not a popularity contest. They've got to, whether they're doing it well or not, we could argue. But don't sacrifice the chance to make a memory with your family, because at the end of the day, no one will care who the owner was of the game you went to. They'll care about the experience that you had.
Talking with David Samson. One of the things I'm trying to understand, David, is kind of MLB's part of this. So no relocation fee, I think, draws a lot of people's attention.
Terrible.
Why would that happen? And so, again, clear this up if I'm wrong on this. Like, it feels like Major League Baseball wants them out of Oakland. I think they obviously want out of Oakland. So maybe as a general question, if this was your team, like, would any other owner take a deal to be in Oakland? Is this an Oakland problem, or is this a different problem?
It's a different problem. When I went to Miami from Montreal, no one wanted to be in Miami. As a matter of fact, the executive who just passed away, Larry Lucchino, had told baseball that Miami will never get a new ballpark. And so they said, all right, we'll send Laurie and Samson there and see if they can do it. It took us 9 years to do it. No, it's not an Oakland problem. And let's be clear, baseball would prefer the team to stay in Oakland. It really is actually an expansion problem. The owners are pressuring the commissioner to get to expansion as quickly as possible because of the influx of money that it will be for expansion fees, which will be split 30 ways. And they know you can't do expansion until Tampa and Oakland have their stadium situations dealt with, no matter where they are. And what the owners felt was that giving up the relocation fee to Vegas would be the fastest way to get the deal done in Vegas faster, to get a building built faster in order to get to expansion faster. But it totally got screwed up, because not only is there no expansion relocation fee, but then they eliminate Vegas as an expansion city if the team moves there. But now they get to add maybe Oakland and maybe Sacramento. So the interesting thing to me is, are Oakland and Sacramento going to compete for an expansion team if, in fact, the team that's currently the A's goes to Vegas? Because what the owner of the Kings was saying very clearly is, listen, this is an audition for us, and we want to prove to baseball that we can be a major league city. So that, when you're thinking about what makes you feel guilty, imagine competing with Oakland, where only one of you two could get a major league team.
And that sets up a fascinating showdown, possibly between Vivek Ranadive and his former majority owner with the Warriors, Joe Lacob, who's on record saying
it's beautiful.
It really is Shakespearean. Now, the quote, David, here is from Vivek yesterday. Quote, the longer term play is that I've been having conversations with MLB and Rob Manfred. They will introduce 2 new franchises one in the West, one in the East. And I think we're really in pole position to get the one in the West. So this for us is a showcase. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think we know the answer, but your instinct, that seems to me like a quote Rob Manfred probably didn't want make public.
I would say that may be the greatest understatement that you'll have on your show today.
Okay.
The fact that he's the spokesperson confirming what, of course, is true.
Sure.
We've been talking about expansion. I've been out of the game since 2017 when Derek Jeter jettisoned me. I was on a committee that was talking about expansion. This is 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it, of course, will be a city in the East and the West. But for the owner of the Kings to be the mouthpiece through which it's said is so absurd that really what he did maybe is guaranteed that Sacramento won't get an expansion team.
Yeah.
Because one thing that owners do is they keep track of what potential owners are saying publicly. And the biggest word of advice that a potential owner is given by current owners is shut your yapper.
Yep.
Don't talk about anything publicly because you won't get the 23 votes that you need to accomplish what you want.
It's like asking for an Augusta National membership.
Exactly.
You don't do it.
Exactly.
Right.
David, on that expansion thought, was Sacramento even mentioned? Because I don't know that we'd heard it here. Was that even a possibility on anybody's radar back when you were with the Marlins?
No, and that's what's so great about it, because the more cities that are possible, the higher the fee is going to be. You want cities bidding against each other, and that's why in my head it would be fascinating for Oakland and Sacramento to actually be going against each other, which I don't think would be to the benefit of the people in Northern California, because basically when you're doing that, you're saying, okay, I'll give MLB, I'll give you $1 billion. I'll give you $1.1 billion. I'll build a stadium for $1.3 billion. And so you just keep bidding it up while the owners sit there and say, okay, good, keep going, keep going. And the reason we know this is go back to Washington when the Expos moved. Washington built Nationals Park. They paid for the entire thing, which enabled the owners of the Nationals to pay baseball for that franchise a very, very high number that is more than what the team was worth.
David, I know you're very, very busy. We got about 30 seconds because I want to get you out of here. He's got a bunch of other stuff going on today, obviously. Just real quick. Las Vegas, there is a ballot initiative trying to get this ballot initiative for the $325 million subsidy on the ballot. Does it serve Sacramento's interests if they want to block John Fisher from going somewhere and possibly induce a sale? Is there anything to getting behind the fundraising for that initiative? It's kind of dirty pool, but you and I both know if that gets on the ballot, it ain't passing.
Correct. Ballots don't pass. You saw it in Kansas City, and in 20 seconds or fewer, don't do that. If you're Sacramento, let it play out, because the deal in Vegas has so many other problems. The ballot initiative is like number 7 on the list. So I think you just sit it out and let the deal implode on its own. You don't want to be the cause of that.
Okay, you got to go. I'd love to talk to you
Yes.
again. We're big fan, great convo, and you know what the hell you're talking about. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm looking forward to the next time. Have a great day.
You too,
Thank
David.
you.
That is David Samson, former president of the Miami Marlins. And he's not just, an analyst. He's been through it. He went through the Expos. He went through, and I got to be honest with you, I'm glad we're breaking right now.
There's a lot in there.
There was a lot in there, and that could have very easily been about a 20-minute longer conversation. Because my head's kind of spinning.
I
on
have more
something.
questions.
We'll take a break.
Wow.
When we come back, 3 for Madness, and then we'll get back to that. We'll put that out also on